When you've been happily married for a long time, you can't even imagine spending your life with anyone else. It's especially offensive in these cases when a third person invades the relationship and destroys the life a couple built together. What would you do in this situation? Hope that everything will be fine over time, or defend your relationship and fight for your family? Or if there is no longer any happiness to fight for, is it better just to leave so as not to live in humiliation from the betrayal? Today, we will tell you a story about how a girl got out of such a situation while managing to keep her dignity. Renee and Louis have been married for 5 years. They lived in the suburbs of Paris since their wedding day. Their life together was wonderful. They took every opportunity to spend time with each other. However, when Louis got a new job, their romance began to cool. Renee blamed her husband's fatigue for everything because his new job took a lot of energy. He always came home very late and often had to work on the weekends. But like any loving wife, Renee supported her husband. She tried not to bug him and gave him the opportunity to be alone after work so he could relax. She hoped that as soon as Louis got accustomed to his new job, he would feel better and their relationship would improve. One Sunday morning, Renee and Louis were having breakfast together. He said he'd have to go into the office again, so Renee would have the day to herself. She was upset by this because she had hoped to spend the day together, but her plans were ruined. Right then, Renee's friend Valerie called to see if she'd like to go shopping with her and relax a little bit. She happily agreed so that she wouldn't have to spend yet another day by herself. At that moment, a message appeared on her husband's phone. It was from an unknown girl confessing her feelings for Louis. Renee asked Louis what the message meant, but he responded in anger. He began to reproach his wife for reading his messages. Louis said the girl was from his new job and was crazy because she sent similar messages to everyone. Then he left for work, not before informing her that he would be home late because he and his friends were going to watch the football game that night, so don't wait up. Renee was confused, wondering for just a moment if Louis could really cheat on her, but then she composed herself and went to meet her friend Valerie. Valerie never liked Louis and always told Renee that she didn't trust him. Renee would only listen in silence as she didn't want to fight. So this time, as usual, Valerie began to talk about Louis and said she noticed they had not been spending much time together lately. Suddenly, while they were shopping, Renee saw her husband in the company of some young girl sitting at the mall food court. Renee immediately grabbed Valerie's arm and turned her the other direction. She could not let her see him with another woman, or else she would never hear the end of it. Renee claimed to not feel well and said she needed to go home. All the way home, Renee sobbed in the car. She couldn't believe that her husband was cheating on her. She waited all evening for Louis to come home, rehearsing what she would say to him. But when he arrived, nothing went according to her plan. Rather than trying to explain himself, he went on the offensive. He reproached Renee for following him, saying she was jumping to conclusions and that she imagined whatever she thought she saw. Louis's words caught Renee off guard. She didn't expect him to accuse her like that and began to doubt herself. Maybe her husband didn't cheat on her, but was just having lunch with a work colleague. She even felt a little ashamed for accusing him. In the end, she decided that she was wrong. A few days later, when Renee was driving home, she stopped at a traffic light and happened to see a man and a woman embracing on a bench at the nearby park. Her first thought was about how long it had been since she and Louis went to the park. But when Renee took a closer look at the couple, she was shocked to realize it was her husband sitting on the bench kissing the woman she saw at the mall. There was no doubt this was certainly not a business meeting. Renee started taking pictures of them with her phone. One can only imagine what was going on inside poor Renee's head. She had been trying to support her husband during this difficult time, when all along he had been seeking a different kind of support elsewhere. Returning home, Renee didn't know how to best handle the situation. At first, she wanted to wait for him and accuse him, but then she realized that he would likely just turn the situation around on her again, making her feel guilty, then pretend like nothing ever happened. Renee no longer wanted to play the victim, so this time she decided to do something completely different. Renee sent the photo of Louis kissing another girl to all of her contacts. Then she packed her things, left the apartment, and threw the keys in the mailbox. She vowed to never return and would send divorce papers in the mail. She finally realized that Valerie was right all this time. Renee proudly walked down the street with her suitcases, no longer even crying. On the contrary, a smile was shining on her face because she could finally see the truth. Share in the comments what you think about Renee's actions. Did she do the right thing, or should she have waited for Lewis to explain himself? If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and do not forget to click the bell icon so as not to miss our new videos.